Wrestling fans, are you ready?
Yes! Yes! Yes!
For the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world, let's get ready to rumble!
I am the voice of the voiceless.
Do I have everybody's attention now?
Sorry about your damn luck.
I deserve one more match.
It's going to be the end of the world as you know it.
Welcome back, folks, to WrestleRant Radio for August 5th, 2014. I am your host, Graham G.S. Matthews. Today, I'll be airing the second part of my two-part interview with my very good friend, John Nichols. Last week, we completely dissected the WWE Network. This week, we're talking about the ending of the streak at WrestleMania 30. We're talking about the split of the Shield, CM Punk leaving the WWE, and much, much more, so make sure to stay tuned for that in just a little bit. But before we get to that, we'll be talking about Monday Night Raw from last night, as well as a few news items. But before we get to any of that, just want to announce that it will be at the TNA Impact Wrestling tapings tomorrow night, August 6th, in New York, the Manhattan Center. Their last set of tapings were tremendous from what I've heard, from what I've seen on TV. Their Destination X show that aired last week on Impact was absolutely tremendous. I loved it. Aries versus Lashley, the Hardys versus the Wolves for the TNA Tag Team titles. Both fantastic matches that I can't stress enough how excellent they were. So go back and check them out if you weren't able to see it live. But that being said, though, those tapings set the standard for TNA shows going forward. And with this being my first ever TNA show, that's been on my bucket list for a very long time now. TNA rarely ever comes over to this part of the country, to the Connecticut area. Granted, the show is not in Connecticut, it's in New York, but it's the closest that TNA will ever get in the foreseeable future, and especially with the whole, not being renewed by Spike TV thing, and the fact that their future is kind of in doubt at the moment, I thought it'd be the perfect time to get tickets, but I look forward to that. Should be a great show if their last set of tapings in New York were any indication, so here's hoping it's as good as the last set of tapings were. I can only say that, but I'm sure it'll be a very fun experience given the fact that it will be my first ever TNA live show. So I look forward to that. Also, I went to go see Guardians of the Galaxy this past Sunday night, and this is not wrestling related, but it does feature Batista, so I did want to talk about this just very briefly. But I did finally go see Guardians of the Galaxy this past Sunday night. Working at a movie theater, I was able to score free tickets to the show, and free popcorn, and free soda, so that's one of the perks of working at a movie theater. But that being said, though, I thought it was a tremendous movie. I mean, people for months and months and months, and I've been looking forward to this movie for a long time now since it was initially announced, not because I'm a comic book fan, and even though I'm not a comic book fan, I've seen the Iron Man movies, I've seen the Avengers, Captain America, all that kind of stuff. I watch those movies just because they're awesome, not because I'm a big comic book guy. But that being said, though, I was looking forward to this movie specifically, not because I knew the lineage of the comics behind it or anything like that. I just wanted to go see it just because it starred Batista. And being the big Batista fan that I am, I figured I would support him in whatever he did and watching this movie. So a lot of people said going into it that it's going to bomb, it's going to be a big financial disappointment, it's going to suck, it's not going to be funny. So I didn't set my expectations all that high going into it, but after hearing the tremendous amount of success that it did over the weekend, box office-wise, I was pretty pumped for it, even more than I already was, and it definitely delivered, and more so, definitely exceeded my expectations in being an absolutely awesome movie. Can't suggest it enough for people to go check it out. Can't recommend it enough. I thought it was a great flick. Batista in his role as Drax the Destroyer, I thought was great. There's been a few articles up on USA Today and a few other websites praising his performance in the movie, and rightfully so. I thought he was great, Batista, especially with this being one of his first a few movies. He's only done a few before this, and nothing ever really this big of a blockbuster, obviously. So with that in mind, I thought he did great in his role. I thought it was absolutely hilarious of a movie, much funnier than I thought it was going to be, and probably the funniest Marvel movie I've ever seen. And that being said, some people have said it was the best Marvel movie that they've ever seen. I have to agree with that. Some people, the comic book people, will probably disagree, and rightfully so. I can name a few movies that were probably better than this one, but in my opinion, the movie that I enjoyed the most out of every Marvel movie that I've seen was this one. I thought Captain America 2 was fantastic. That comes close to beating out this one, but not quite. The Iron Man movies were good. Not a big fan of the Thor movies. The only movie that comes to my mind as being as good as this one was Avengers. And it's really up there because that was one of my favorite movies of 2012. But this movie, I can't recommend it enough. I thought it was hilarious. Had a lot of great action. A lot of detailed in all the characters that were featured. Thanos, the villain, the main villain, not Ronan or Roman or whatever his name was. I think it was Ronan. But that being said, though, he made a good villain. Thanos is the bigger villain in the bigger picture of the Marvel Universe, with it being the main villain for the Avengers movie also. So by the end of the movie, I was really anticipating an eventual encounter between the Avengers and the Guardians of the Galaxy, so hopefully they incorporate that into the plot and the storylines at some point. Maybe not in Avengers 2, because I know that comes out next year, and production has already begun, but hopefully for Avengers 3, which is rumored to be released in 2013. Like I said before, I'm not a big comic book guy, so a lot of the people that are may disagree with me here, but I thought it was a great movie. By far the best movie I've seen thus far in 2014. Captain America 2 comes close, but from what I heard, this movie scored even more money than that one did, which I thought was a big surprise. But, yeah, like I said before, go check it out at your local movie theater. Batista's performance was great, but then again, everyone in the cast was terrific as well. So, great movie. Can't wait to go back and watch it again. Hopefully I can before I go back to school within the next month. But, great movie. Go check it out when you get the chance. Up next, I want to briefly talk about this. Ricardo Rodriguez released from the WWE as of last Wednesday. Can't say I'm extremely surprised. WWE has done next to nothing with him since breaking away from Alberto Del Rio. Exactly a year ago from today, from when I filmed this, actually, because it was on August 5th, 2013, that they broke up the pairing of Del Rio and Ricardo after a 3-year stint together on the main roster. And I thought those guys were great together. I was in the minority that when the two broke up, I thought it was going to be a good thing for Del Rio, because Ricardo Rodriguez, although he was the kind of pest heel for Del Rio and being his ring announcer and taking all the crazy bumps for him, that fans, after a while, kind of felt sympathetic towards Ricardo and him being funny and stuff like that. So I thought it was going to be a matter of time before they broke him off as a babyface and Del Rio off on his own, who I thought was, better off on his own and kind of evolving and taking away the cars and all that kind of stuff. But in the end, it bombed. Del Rio hasn't had any personality since. Ricardo had that terrible pairing with RVD for a while. The feud between RVD and Del Rio wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. The matches were good, but the feud itself was a disappointment. The whole Ricardo and RVD pairing completely bombed, and Ricardo really hasn't been on TV much since. I know he does the Spanish announce table, the Spanish commentary is what he did for a while on pay-per-views and stuff, and also was a backstage announcer for, overseas tours and the overseas shows and whatever, broadcasts. But aside from that, though, I thought he was doing well in his role on Spanish commentary. Apparently WWE didn't think so. I think it was kind of a mutual parting of the ways because Ricardo wanted to wrestle more. And he was done in NXT for a while. He has been for a few years as El Local, but he has been on NXT for the last few months as El Local and tagging with Kalisto. He didn't have the strongest of performances at the NXT TakeOver show when he and Kalisto took on the Ascension for the NXT Tag Team titles. Wasn't the best showing for Ricardo, but he is a very good wrestler. More often than not, if you go back and check out his matches, singles matches on NXT and elsewhere, I know he had a very big following before he came to the WWE. But even when he was Ricardo and just being the ring announcer that he was for Del Rio, I thought he was great in his role. Sad to see him go. Hopefully he can wrestle outside of the WWE on the Indies or wherever else. But it sucks to see him go. I was kind of hoping that WWE would put them back together at some point, because Del Rio has been floundering ever since. But that is no longer possible with Ricardo being gone. But here's hoping that he can achieve success outside of the WWE, and as the classic line goes, good luck in his future endeavors. Next news topic I wanted to touch upon real quick here was the announcing of the new WWE Network subscriber count as of last Thursday, the whole conference call, stuff like that. The number was announced to be 700,000, only up 33,000 from the 667,000 that was announced the night after WrestleMania. Numbers are a bit sketchy because that was as of the end of June. I think the real number is actually 690,000. They've gained well over 100,000 subscribers, but they also lost a lot of subscribers as well. So the number wasn't as strong as they were predicting. They had to lay a lot of people off. They had to lay off some NXT talents, a lot of whom I did not recognize. Slate Randall, I know, comes to mind. He was never on NXT TV, but he had a lot of potential from what I've seen. But for the most part, though, Not really a surprising number for the WWE Network, because in the last 4 months, and we talked about this, I talked about this with John on last week's podcast when I interviewed him a couple of weeks ago, but we talked about this, that in the last 4 months, since they announced the last subscriber number, what else have they really added to the WWE Network? Yes, you can say they've added the Clash of the Champions shows and Saturday Night Main Event. They finally added every episode and not just the 80s. They finally did that. And I know they have the pay-per-views, but since WrestleMania, we've only had Extreme Rules, Payback, Money in the Bank, and Battleground, and none of those pay-per-views are among the big four. SummerSlam is coming up, so hopefully that boosts pay-per-view buys. The WWE Network will be going worldwide starting next week. I think next Wednesday or Tuesday, August 12th, I think is the date. But that being said, though, next Wednesday. Today's Tuesday, so next Tuesday, yeah. So that's great for everyone outside of the United States that does not have the network yet. The United Kingdom will be getting the WWE Network starting October 1st. And they're a big following of the WWE and wrestling as a whole, obviously, so that should boost up numbers. So I have no doubt they'll be able to hit 1 million by the end of the year. But for just being the U.S. alone, I think that's a pretty good number, in my opinion. The key thing, and I know they tried to hit it home as hard as they possibly could last night on Raw by continuously saying $9.99, the price, and that's not the problem. The price, it's an absolute steal. They've been driving it home for months now. The promotion of the WWE Network is not the issue, like with TNA and their lack of self-awareness. The lack of promotion for the WWE Network isn't the problem. They promote it like crazy on all the shows, their websites, via email. They do it like crazy. That's not the problem. The problem is the lack of real content on the network. And I'm not complaining, because I'm a person that loves the network. Go back and listen to last week's podcast if you don't believe me. Me and John sat down for an hour talking about how awesome the WWE Network is. I try to watch one pay-per-view a week from the network and all the live specials, main events, superstars, the countdown specials, WrestleMania Rewind, Legends of Wrestling. There's a lot of great stuff on the network, but none of it's not enough. They need to add more original content. Maybe they will when the Monday Night Wars show comes around, but it's kind of contradicting, because the money that they need to produce more shows for the WWE Network, like a Tough Enough or something along those lines, they're losing that money because of the network. So they can't add more content to the network in that respect. Because from what I've heard, I think the most expensive programming on the network are the reality shows like Legends House. So with that being said, here's hoping that within the next few months, if they want to get a stronger number for the network, they consider adding more content to the network that is exclusive to the network. Like someone suggested, maybe doing a live stream for when Kenta got signed by WWE a few weeks ago. They didn't do anything on the network to cover that. I'm not saying they should film every house show that they do, because that will bring down the house show sales, and people can figure, I don't have to go to the show because I could just watch it on the network, and stuff like that. But maybe every once in a while, maybe when they go over to England, you can film a show, or some of these tours that they do, something exclusive to the network. And yeah, sure, the Warrior Week and the Vicky Guerrero countdowns are cool and all, but that's not enough. They need to have more original content on the network that you can't find anywhere else, because the live pay-per-views and the old pay-per-views, as big of a selling point as that is, it's not enough. They need to have more original content, because replays of Total Divas and new episodes of Legends House isn't going to cut it. But that being said, though, being the big advocate of the network that I am, I love it, and I'll continue to subscribe. I won't unsubscribe. I won't unrenew my subscription when it expires in a few months. But that being said, though, that's the biggest issue with the network. They just need to have more content. It's not the self-awareness. They can stop trying to shove it down our throats on Monday Night Raw, especially having it being promoted by the heel authority figure Triple H. That didn't make much sense. That was kind of a weird way to promote it, and it definitely it was worse than the app hype that they've that they've had on the app that they've had for the app for the last couple of years, and that's when you know it's bad. But that's the real problem with the network, and hopefully they can fix and improve upon that in coming months. So that being said, I'll move into my brief review of Monday Night Raw from last night, August 4th, 2014. Emanating from Texas, less than 2 weeks away from SummerSlam. That's basically much like last week the show was focused on doing, was furthering the excitement for the show. And I thought they succeeded in that respect. Roman Reigns came out and interrupted the Authority to kick off the show. I thought it was cool that we got the Authority all in one ring at the same time for the first time in quite a while. Announcing stuff for SummerSlam, for Raw that night. Basically a big infomercial for the WWE Network. And that's basically what the purpose that segment served. Roman Reigns is crazy over, so that led in nicely to his last man standing match with Kane to kick off the show. And a surprisingly good matchup. Last man standing matches have a tendency to be hit or miss. They can either be extremely entertaining or really, really boring. Just having fans sit there and watch a superstar try to beat the 10 count when you know they will can get tiresome after a while. But this matchup, the stipulation worked to Roman Reigns' and Kane's advantage for that matter. Neither of them are two of the strongest workers. Reigns still needs some improvement both on the mic and in the ring, but he's improved immensely over the last 2 years. And then Kane isn't really exactly what he used to be, but the two developed a very nice sense of chemistry with one another over the course of the contest. The excitement from the crowd was very apparent. They were red hot for this contest, surprisingly enough. Roman Reigns went over. Here's your victor, going into his match with Randy Orton at SummerSlam, which I also thought has been very well built up. Surprisingly enough, I thought it would be a bad idea to skip over Triple H versus Roman Reigns at the SummerSlam pay-per-view, and I think they're either saving that for Night of Champions, but at this point I might actually want to see it at Survivor Series instead. But that being said, though, I still look forward to Roman Reigns versus Randy Orton at SummerSlam regardless. Up next, we had the awesome interviews with Brock Lesnar and John Cena. Now, with Brock Lesnar, obviously his biggest strengths are not talking. That's his biggest weaknesses, if anything. And they did this. They took this approach a couple of years ago when he first came back, and they knew that he would not be on every Raw. So I believe it was on a Raw hailing from England, and it was the one Raw leading into Extreme Rules that he wasn't going to be on. So in that slot, they had him do the sit-down style interview that they would do back in NXT, in the UFC, and they still do now, but they used to do it with Brock Lesnar, and this is where he really thrives. And, basically talk about his match with John Cena, why he's back, and that was a tremendous way of promoting his match with John Cena the first time going into Extreme Rules. They would do the same thing with Brock Lesnar about a year ago on SmackDown. And I don't know if they ever aired the video package on Raw or what, but they did a great job with Brock Lesnar the last time, talking about his feud with CM Punk. This video package wasn't just with Brock Lesnar this time, it was with John Cena also, who also delivered his lines very, very well, very believable in his role. John Cena is money when he is serious on the mic, and that's exactly what he was here. So this interview between the two superstars I thought was terrific. They pulled a lot of cool clips together from their matches in the past, specifically from 2012 and not any time before that, but just showing clips of Brock Lesnar breaking the streak, John Cena winning the championship and Money in the Bank this year, his 15th World Championship. Just a great way of promoting their matchup with neither guy even being on the show. I mean, this is the way that it was years ago when the champion wasn't on every show, and it meant more when the champion would eventually be back on the show. And I'm not saying that it's in a Rock-like situation. I'm not comparing that whatsoever, because when Rock wasn't on the show, they didn't do anything like this whatsoever. Like, there was one Raw where they aired that awesome video package for Rock and Cena, and they weren't even featured in that night's Raw. But Rock missed so many shows that it was completely pointless for not him to be there, for him to be champion and stuff like that. With John Cena and Lesnar, it's a completely different thing, because we know at one point John Cena will no longer be there to, do the heavy lifting for Raw, I guess, in a way. And I'm not saying that's anytime soon, but there will come a day where John Cena will, not immediately, but slowly have to start to step down as the face of the company, and for the Raws that they won't have him there for. And I think he was backstage at last night's show. He might have been, he might not have been, I'm not exactly sure. But the video package they aired in its place, in place of him not being there, was tremendous. I thought it did a great job of building up their matchup for SummerSlam, built up my intrigue, and like I said before, this is the kind of environment that Brock Lesnar thrives in, because we haven't heard him talk hardly at all in the last 2 years. Paul Heyman, thankfully, has done most of the talking for him. But when it's in a pre-taped environment and they have the video packages, airing over what he's about to say and stuff like that, bleeping out the cuss words, it comes off as much more impactful and believable. Like I said, an environment where Brock Lesnar absolutely shines, a great way to promote their main event, give it that big fight feel that it should, and already does have, and this definitely furthered that emphasis on the big fight feel that this match already does have going into SummerSlam, the second biggest show of the year. And the best part about Brock Lesnar's promos is the fact that he's truthful. He sits there and says, yeah, I came back for the fucking money. I didn't come back because I love this place. I came back because I wanted to be champion. I wanted to be champion. I wanted to make money. Not because I love this, not for any other reason, just because I wanted to make money. And that's the honest to God truth. If you read Brock Lesnar's book, hear him do interviews, which is very far few between, You listen to hear Paul Heyman talk about it. He doesn't like wrestling, which is completely fine. As long as he's honest about it, that is completely fine. He is here for the money, and that's all he's here for, and that's why he makes such a great heel, and that's why his promos, when he eventually cuts them, like in a sit-down interview like this, are that much better and that much more believable because they are truthful. It's who he is. It's not Brock Lesnar the character. It's Brock Lesnar the person, because the person is who he is inside the ring as well. So great interview with Cena and Lesnar. Look forward to them both being on next week's show, as well as their awesome, epic SummerSlam matchup for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. So also on the show, we had Adam Rose do a terrible promotion for the movie Oculus, which I heard actually did pretty well in terms of reviews and stuff like that, which is very rare for a WWE Studios film. I know the only other film that got positive reviews for the most part was The Call, starring Halle Berry and David Otunga from last year. But anyway, this was a terrible promotion for that movie. Adam Rose looking into the mirror and expecting to see an evil version of himself, and it was just him standing in the suit. The segment had no real punchline. No one thought it was funny. It was just flat out stupid. And this is coming from a big Rosebud, someone that has been a big Rosebud since the Adam Rose character debut. And it's funny because I was initially angered by the fact that they were changing the Leo Kruger gimmick, because I thought it was great as it was, and he was so believable in his role as Leo Kruger that I thought it was a mistake to veer away from that. And when he came onto NXT as Adam Rose, I thought it was great because he's so dedicated to the characters that he portrays that it's hard not to like him as Adam Rose. And some people may argue differently, and I'm still an Adam Rose fan, but for the most part, pretty much for the entire part, the Adam Rose character has flopped on the main roster. I'm not saying they should turn him into Leo Kruger ASAP, maybe a little down the line, give it a little bit more time. I know he's been in the main roster for about 3 months, actually exactly 3 months from when I filmed this, and it's been a major flop so far, so probably the best thing they can do with the Adam Rose character at this point is scrap it and give him back his Leo Kruger persona. I don't even see that being World Championship material, but anything is better than what he's doing right now, which is nothing. And it's worth a shot. Some people have suggested maybe he do a Mankind Mick Foley thing where he switches between the Mankind and he switches between the Adam Rose and Leo Kruger personas. I could see that. It would be very intriguing. We haven't seen something like that in a very long time, like with Mankind and Mick Foley back in the Attitude Era. So I think it'd be a very intriguing idea, but the appearance of Leo Kruger is much different than that of Adam Rose. Like, some people told me, like, that's Adam Rose. I mean, that's Leo Kruger. I would have never guessed, because his appearance has changed so much from when he was Leo Kruger. I think he might have been a little bit heavier when he was Leo Kruger. I know he had a beard, so his appearance was a lot different when he was Leo Kruger, and I don't know, it's not like he can grow a beard back within a minute and then shave it off for Adam Rose. So even I'm mixing it up because they're so similar, but or so 180 actually, they're so opposite. But that being said, though, it's an intriguing idea. Being the Rosebud that I am, even I would like to see that idea happen, because the whole Adam Rose persona, that whole gimmick, has completely failed to get over on the main roster in the 3 months that it's been on the main roster, which, like I said before, it's a shame. I think it's a lot of missed potential, a lot of untapped potential with the character, but they've booked it so badly that there's really no going back on it at this point. So it's worth a shot to transform him into Leo Kruger, and I think this was a missed opportunity to do that with the whole Oculus promotion, the evil persona in the mirror, and this whole segment was stupid and pointless. But yeah, at some point, I would love to see them kind of take that route of turning him into a Leo Kruger / Mick Foley Mankind character, where he could maybe even portray both at the same time. So just give it time, see where it goes. If it's still not getting over by year's end, and if he's still not doing anything by the end of this year, then you can flip the switch and turn him into Leo Kruger and see what that does. So other matches and segments on the show: Mark Henry returned, defeated Damian Sandow. I'm looking forward to what they do with Mark Henry going forward. A pair of Beat the Clock Challenge matches featuring Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins. Ambrose, oddly enough, wrestled a 15-minute match and Beat the Clock against Del Rio. Probably the longest Beat the Clock Challenge match I've ever seen. So that was interesting. A good matchup, but it was very strange for the matchup to go that long. And Heath Slater, Seth Rollins' opponent in his Beat the Clock Challenge matchup, originally supposed to be RVD, who is back after a few-week hiatus, after taking some time off after being injured. But Heath Slater surprisingly going over Seth Rollins. So I figured that once Dean Ambrose came out, but it was entertaining. A nice win for Heath Slater. And as I mentioned last night on Twitter, and I did some research, this marks Seth Rollins' first pinfall loss, or submission for that matter, since December of 2013. His last pinfall loss, not only on Raw or SmackDown, pay-per-view, whatever, his first pinfall loss since his match against CM Punk on the December 30th edition of Monday Night Raw. So absolutely amazing stuff there. And to think that it was Heath Slater to snap the streak of Seth Rollins. But either way, I'm looking forward to Ambrose versus Rollins at SummerSlam. By the time you guys listen to this, the spoilers are probably up for SmackDown. They probably already announced at the SmackDown tapings, for those that do read the spoilers, what kind of stipulation that match will have at SummerSlam. But whether it be with the briefcase on the line or a street fight, I very much look forward to it. The feud thus far, since the split of the Shield 2 months ago, has been tremendous. So I look forward to what direction it will take going into the biggest party of the summer. Other matches on the show, Rusev beating Sin Cara during the commercial break on the WWE app. That was comical, and probably for the best, because it was a match that we've seen multiple times before anyway, so it was probably for the better for it to happen on the WWE app, so that was pretty comical. Dolph Ziggler beating Cesaro, good matchup there, pretty much furthering the feud with him and The Miz, going into SummerSlam for the Intercontinental Championship, which is now confirmed for the card. Looking forward to that. Stardust and Goldust returning to the ring to defeat Ryback for the millionth time. What the point of this was, I have no idea. Still not a fan of the Stardust character. Failed to see what purpose it serves, especially with Goldust reportedly leaving the WWE once his contract expires after SummerSlam. It feels like a completely wasted opportunity at this point. So that's a shame. Chris Jericho beating Luke Harper in another good matchup. Luke Harper losing via disqualification, thus banning him from the matchup from ringside for the Jericho versus Bray Wyatt matchup at SummerSlam. Diego beating Fandango for the third time in the last week. Total garbage. Since I've said this since the start, but completely not a fan of the whole Fandango Samurai Layla bullshit, and the fact that it's still continuing on to this day is still mind-boggling and asinine. Bo Dallas beating R-Truth, pretty much a nothing match just to give Bo his win back over R-Truth. Hopefully this doesn't lead to a rubber match at SummerSlam. I mean, granted, it would be cool for Dallas to get a pay-per-view match, but for the most part, I just have no desire of seeing R-Truth in any feud in 2014 if he's not a heel. I already talked about the Beat the Clock Challenge match with Slater and Rollins. In the main event, I thought was great. Stephanie McMahon and Brie Bella, I thought was another great segment from those two. That's something I thought I would never say about a year ago, but Brie Bella has come a long way in the ring and on the mic. She's not great, but she is very good in my opinion. And the chemistry that she and Stephanie McMahon have in their various segments together are great, and that definitely showed at the end of Raw last night during the contract signing, and both Brie and Nikki Bella taking pedigrees from Stephanie McMahon. So I look forward to their matchup at SummerSlam. Once again, something I thought I would never say. It's not going to be a 5-star Matt Classic, but even still, I look forward to that matchup just for the drama alone and what route they will take that matchup in come SummerSlam. So that's going to do it for my brief Raw review. For my full thoughts on the show, you can find me on nexterwrestling.weebly.com. Full Raw review up on the website. And with that being said, like I said earlier on in the show, it's time to air my the second part of my 2-part interview with my very good friend John Nichols. We sat down at the KOA campsite in Saugerties, New York a couple of weeks ago for a 2-hour interview broken up into 2 parts. Part 1 you can listen to on last week's podcast. We talked about the WWE Network, completely dissected the entire WWE Network and every single aspect of it. And I'm not even exaggerating, every single aspect of the WWE Network, from the live pay-per-views to Total Divas we even talked about. So go back and check that out if you haven't heard it already. This conversation will go into detail with our thoughts on the streak ending at WrestleMania, with CM Punk leaving the WWE, the split of the Shield, Sting, Batista, and much, much more. And even TNA and ROH talk too. So it's some exciting stuff. I hope you enjoy it. And here's the interview. Enjoy. Welcome back, folks. I'm Graham Jason Matthews at WrestleRant on the Twitter. I'm sitting here once again with at Jonathan Nichols. I'm sorry, at Heel by Design, John Nichols.
Great to be back in the same exact location.
Absolutely. We've been filming this show for the last, we've been sitting here for the last hour talking about the WWE Network. Part 1 is last week. Part 2 is this week. I don't know how many parts are going to be going on for. Hopefully just 2.
Probably do part 5 at some point tonight.
Yeah, it's only 11:25. This is coming from 2 people that were up last night until 2 a.m. talking about the big show. So, how much Survivor Series last year sucked. When we were watching the Buffalo Wild Wings.
Listen, McMahon, Survivor Series 2013 sucked, and I want my money back from Buffalo Wild Wings.
Yeah, for even going there, exactly. But so we talked about the WWE Network last week, okay? And if you want to get to know John, get to know all about him, we talked about it in the first few minutes of Part 1, so go listen to that. But today, we're going to be breaking down all the other topics going on in the world of wrestling. We might not need to go as in-depth, but we will brush upon almost everything. And you can't talk about wrestling without talking about this. The biggest story, in my opinion, of 2014 and of many years to come, and we talked about this as it was happening. We talked about it earlier today as well. The streak ending. John, your thoughts?
The streak ending. The streak ending. Now, Graham, actually, you went back into some of our text messages, which I related. We were texting weeks leading up to WrestleMania.
Absolutely,
even
yeah.
hours leading up to the match between Undertaker and Brock Lesnar.
Mm-hmm.
And I related the reading of those texts as like texts prior to 9/11. It was literally
Beautiful comparison.
Literally, like,
Beautiful.
We were speaking so vaguely and ambiguously, like, oh, what if the Undertaker actually does lose?
But it's one of those things that you would never think would happen.
It's impossible to think about.
And like a disaster for wrestling fans, you know?
Gosh.
Some people marked. I'm not saying people would have gotten excited for 9/11, but you know what I mean?
It was just an event of epic proportions.
There you go, yeah,
that
exactly.
occurred. But I actually, one of the texts read, Graham, you owe me $1 million if...
That will come to fruition hopefully at some point if you ever work at WWE.
Graham needs $1 million.
McMahon, please, donate $1 million, please.
And I wasn't necessarily upset with The Undertaker losing.
Yep.
Now, I'm completely and utterly devastated about who it is he lost to, and I know I sound like every other 5-year-old, wrestling fan, that they're upset that a part-timer, Brock Lesnar,
yep.
was put over by The Undertaker.
Yep.
And, to me, my main complaint, and I've said this for years now, whoever is put over by The Undertaker,
whoever ends the streak
at WrestleMania, will have the most momentum ever.
And heat,
anything. All
no,
right?
not if it was like a Roman Reigns, he'd be booed.
Well, it has to be the right person. And Brock Lesnar, other than him being a part-timer, fits the category in that he's an established WWE superstar.
It's not even that, though. I think he's the guy that you can look at and say, this guy can beat The Undertaker.
But,
like, imagine, listen, like if a Cesaro beat him, Cesaro doesn't look like he could beat The Undertaker, you know what I mean? Or like a Daniel Bryan, I mean, like, come on, dude.
All right.
Go on, I'm sorry.
So, I am upset that a part-timer beat The Undertaker.
Yes, and you said established star, yep.
And the thing is, The Rock is a part-timer.
Yes.
And I would have marked if The Rock made The Undertaker, if The Rock beat The Undertaker at WrestleMania. I would have marked. The fact that, I don't know whose idea it was to pick Brock Lesnar, because you and I talked, and we actually thought that The Undertaker selected Brock Lesnar, but apparently we were wrong.
I don't know if we were wrong. It's just rumors at this point. It's never been confirmed. Taker's still sitting at his home nursing his injuries, so.
But
it's just off what Shawn Michaels said. Yeah, you can go on that one.
So, regardless of all that, I'm upset.
I don't think Taker was. I'm sorry. I just want to throw this in there.
Clarify.
I don't think Lesnar was chosen. I don't think it was ever about who's going to end it. I think, based off from what I've heard, it's all rumors and speculation. I could be completely wrong. It was just a matter of the fact that the streak's ending tonight. Mm-hmm. They could have cared less if it was against Yoshitatsu. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It could have been anybody, but go on.
So, going back to what I was saying, in that whoever beat the streak will have the most heat, will be so over.
One of the biggest stars.
And you're going to have to capitalize on that heat.
Yep.
And the fact that you're going to be the most over superstar ever,
mm-hmm.
all right? When was the last time you saw Brock Lesnar on WWE television?
Night after WrestleMania.
Night after WrestleMania. So what the hell, all right? You have a duty. If you're the person, I don't care. All right, and we talked about Lesnar's contract today. If I don't care
with Mr. John Soto.
With Mr. John Soto, I don't care if you have 2 dates, $5 million in your contract. If you beat The Undertaker, you sign up for 200 dates for $5,000 because you owe it to me, who paid $65 to watch WrestleMania. You owe it to me to be on Monday Night Raw every freaking week and saying, hell yeah, I beat The Undertaker's streak. And you know what? Putting Paul Heyman's fat ass on TV and reminding us for 8 weeks after it happened does not help the fact that you're not on TV saying, and I know Lesnar can't talk for shit, but you owe it to me to be on Monday Night Raw. You don't work Tuesdays, who cares? Be on Monday Night Raw and proving to me why you're the guy who beat The Undertaker. Alright? And that's what makes me the most mad. Alright? Because the fact that you're not there, the fact that you just beat The Undertaker and ride from the sunset, and we all know that Lesnar will be back for SummerSlam, and he'll probably be more over than ever. Because
and this is after that all. He could be back by now. We just don't know. We're filming this as of July 19th, 2014. So he's already back and probably champion by this point.
Whenever he's back, he'll be over because you guys don't understand that he is a giant prick. Oh,
always has been. At least he admits it, you know.
You owe it to us to not leave for 6 months.
I just want to bring this up because you and I talked about this. Like I said, you were on WrestleRant Radio many months ago, 2 days after WrestleMania. Your appearance was very short-lived because you had to go, but you did talk briefly about it. But after I texted you about the Ultimate Warrior and his passing and whatever, we went on to talk about some other stuff that we weren't able to talk about. We were talking for a solid hour about stuff that happened at WrestleMania that we weren't able to talk about on the show. And I clearly remember you saying that during the course of even his post-Raw promo the night after, remember when Paul Heyman came out with Lesnar? You said, and I quote, maybe not by word, not verbatim here, but this is what you said. This guy, you just broke the frickin' streak. You can't say 2 words, and I said, well, he's not a good talker, John. I don't know what you're talking. It's okay. He's not a good talker. Heyman will do all the talking. But you said, it doesn't matter. You just broke the streak. You couldn't say 2 words. And I agree. I think he could have said something. Because remember, in the weeks leading up to Mania, he did say stuff. Some stuff, not a lot of stuff. And he did say some stuff.
And it's just, like I said, it's just you, and I sound like a broken record. You just owe it to us to be here. To be here for us.
I never expected him to sign more dates, to be honest with you.
I mean, and why should he? We talked about this. Hi, John Soto. We talked about this with him today. If you're getting paid $5 million to work 20 days, 20 days.
If you're in his position, would you?
What more money do you need? I don't need to sign up for 100 more dates.
It's not his fault. I don't think it's creatives. It wasn't his fault to end the streak. It wasn't his decision.
All right, Graham. No, because it is his fault. It is entirely his fault.
Please explain.
I don't care what kind of athlete you are. Now, we all know Brock Lesnar is not a fan, and that is his his biggest downfall.
Yeah.
All right? I don't care, because I go to school with a bunch of non-fans, and the day after WrestleMania,
you were talking about
everyone was talking about, oh yeah, the Undertaker's streak broke. What the hell? All right? So, if you're a non-fan who broke the Undertaker's streak, put your big boy pants on and become a fan, all right? Because you just did what Big Boss Man, Kane, Edge, Orton, Batista, Mark Henry, Shawn Michaels, Undertaker, CM Punk, Ric Flair, Triple H. You just did what Jake the Snake Roberts, Jimmy Snuka, all right? You just did what they could not do for 21 non-consecutive years, all right? You just did that.
Yep.
And you're telling me you're not going to sign up for more dates because why should you? Because I'm already getting $5 million. No. You've been chosen to broke the streak. You get off your ass, get on a flight to Stanford, sign a contract for 30 more dates. I don't care. Work the fall. The fall is the worst time for wrestling. Work the fall, all right? And then when the Rumble comes around, then you'll deserve to be the guy that broke the Undertaker's streak because you stuck with the product. And that's why I hate it. I hate it so much. Honestly, anyone could have beaten it, and I wouldn't have been as mad as the fact that Brock Lesnar beat the Undertaker streak.
Few questions. One, if it was up to you, we were talking about this before Mania, would you have ever ended the streak?
Most definitely.
You would have.
That's
You don't think that it should have gone unbeaten forever?
in a world of entertainment that is based on, as we said earlier, shock value, unpredictability, all of that. There's no reason why you should preserve a legacy that promotes, fairy tales and, perfect happy endings. There's no reason. And honestly, that's why you have all these hardcore smart fans who are mad that, the hero always wins. If they're complaining, fine. The Undertaker's going to go 21-1. He's got it. There's 50 years old, he's got it. All right? Great. Undertaker, top 10 of all time. Maybe top 5 for some of you. But there's no reason why he should remain undefeated.
Do you think there could have been a way, not on my idea, I've heard JR talk about this or somebody, where they could have said, Undertaker could have said, the streak's going to die one day. It will end. Go out full. I think it was Jericho who actually said this. Says the streak's going to end. But every year, you believe into the non-falls because you know it's going to end, but you just don't know who it's going to be. You know what I mean?
I mean, that would be an original kind of tangent to go on, but I mean, that just sounds to me like reverse psychology. Oh, I'm gonna lose someday. Oh, but he keeps winning. The fact that who thinks that the Undertaker's gonna lose at WrestleMania 30 to a part-timer? Who thinks that? Who imagines that?
Nobody.
Not me. So, as much as I hate it, I'm glad.
Plus, the build sucked.
The build was awful, but I knew it needed to end. I knew it needed to. To Brock Lesnar, it did not need to.
To put over somebody, you saying?
There's no. Why would the Undertaker put over Brock Lesnar? Now, as much as I hate.
No, but I'm saying if you're booking it.
You can't put someone over.
How
could you?
Because they get enough heat.
Because Chris Jericho, WrestleMania 29, puts Fandango over. Who's Fandango now? Now Chris Jericho's no Undertaker by any stretch of the imagination, but let's say Undertaker puts over. Give me a name.
Anybody. Zack Ryder.
Undertaker puts over Zack Ryder at WrestleMania 30. 6 months later, no one cares who Zack Ryder is. I'm sorry, Zack Ryder. We have to let you go. Best of luck in your future endeavors. Holy shit, wait, but I'm the guy under the Undertaker's streak. Holy shit, Zack Ryder, you're not selling any merchandise because no one cares about you and your character's lame. See, it can't be just anyone. It needs to be an established star who could enter the Hall of Fame already, and just having beaten the Undertaker's streak is just an added bonus. That's not the way to make someone's career, beating the streak. I would have been, and you and I talked about this, the fact that John Cena and The Undertaker have never battled at WrestleMania is money left on the table. I don't know that they ever will.
I already know the answer to this question. You just kind of answered it. If it was up to you and you said the streak should end, that's what you just said, who should it be to? Who should have been to?
Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
One name.
I feel like you want me to say Sting, but I would.
No. I mean, just like
I would have been very satisfied having seen The Rock go over the Undertaker.
Okay.
Very satisfied.
Because I don't think they ever worked a pay-per-view match, did they?
They must have.
I don't think they ever did.
Some obscure pay-per-view in 1999, probably, maybe, I don't know.
I was told that they didn't.
All right, well, they definitely...
Maybe.
They've worked together. They've worked.
Oh, yeah, I'm not saying they've never had a match.
They don't have problems with each other.
No.
There's no...
Dwayne Attitude Era or Dwayne Current? Would you have done it back then?
I would have done it. I would have done it WrestleMania 30, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, because first of all, The Rock is a Hall of Famer, no doubt. But I would say, out of any WWE superstar, he has the most impressive WrestleMania resume of all time, considering he beat Hulk Hogan at WrestleMania 18, Stone Cold Steve Austin at WrestleMania 19, John Cena at WrestleMania 28. You got your freaking Mount Rushmore of WWE right there. You beat them all. All right. Give him the Undertaker. Good job, Rock. Undertaker's not putting anyone over. The Rock's already in the Hall of Fame, but now you got Undertaker to his resume. And the Rock moves up the ladder and greatest of all time because he just ended the streak. Whereas Brock Lesnar, who is never even close to top 10 greatest of all time, and now you give him this victory, and what does that do for his career? He's still a prick. He's still a money whore.
So for Brock Lesnar, you were saying that he should appear on Raw. Do you think that Rock should have appeared on Raw if he were to end the streak, or do you think that he should have ended it right there, be done, retired, done?
That's a better question. I think
Because
that
Brock Lesnar, it's not ending. He's going after the title.
all right. That now we are comparing apples to oranges. The Rock, who is he officially retired?
We'll talk about this maybe at another point, but
I'm
saying in your mind.
He retired at one point. Brock Lesnar, who is still, in his prime, is what I'm trying to say. Who can't just call it quits after beating the Undertaker. All right, let me paint a picture for you. WrestleMania 30. The Rock puts the Undertaker in the sharpshooter. Oh my God, it's been 30 minutes long. There's no way the Undertaker's gonna make it. The Undertaker powers out, grabs the ropes, whatever have you. All right, the Rock is looking around like, oh my God, I can't do it. Undertaker grabs him by the throat, brings him up for the chokeslam. Rock gets out. Rock brings him up for the rock bottom. Undertaker gets out. Undertaker, and this sounds like WrestleMania 29, I know.
It does.
Undertaker puts him in the tombstone. Rock flips out. Tombstones the Undertaker. Takes the armband off. Throws it in the crowd. People's elbow. 1, 2. Undertaker tries to kick out at 2. Ref counts 3. Everyone's like, oh my God, oh my God. All right, and Undertaker's like, he's kneeling there on the ring, hands on his knees, and he's nodding. The Rock is shocked at what just happened. The two stand up, shake hands in the middle of the ring. Undertaker raises Rock's hand. No, Rock raises Undertaker's hand right after. All right, clapping for each other. All right, now, you know what I just did there? The Rock just defeated the streak, but in controversial fashion. So now you know what you got, Mr. McMoney Man. You got a WrestleMania 31 rematch. Undertaker says, I kicked out. And Rock's like, no, you didn't, brother. And you got WrestleMania 31 right there. See, that books itself. All right, there's not all this confusion and unknown going into the day after WrestleMania. Like, holy crap, what just happened? Where's Brock Lesnar? This is the worst thing that's ever happened ever. So, but that was off the cuff right there.
Wouldn't you have The Rock appear in more Raws afterwards? And he would. I'm not saying he would. He's in the same boat as Brock Lesnar, even if less so, because he makes less appearance on WWE TV than Brock does. But I'm saying, would you have him continue to appear on Raw afterwards? Because he regardless of whether it was in controversial or not, fashion or not, he ended the streak.
In my made up scenario that I just made up off the top of my head, WWE Creative, please hire me. In my controversial scenario right there, he has to, but with the Undertaker shaking his hand and kind of accepting it, it's not something that needs to be addressed right away. It's like, all right, well, the Undertaker's accepted it. It's still the, oh my God, the streak's over kind of thing, but it's also the kind of thing is once Survivor Series rolls around, the Undertaker the gong can hit on a Raw one day and he goes, yeah, I've been sitting at home all this long and I don't think the streak's really over. And then you have is the streak over or not match, and that's money right there. But
I don't think you'd be able to continue forward with that feud without turning Rock heel. I know you said they would shake hands after the match, but you can't. The fans would still boo the shit out of him. They would still boo the shit out of him. I think that's the thing.
Well, yeah, because then he becomes the
guy that ended the streak that no one wanted to see happen. It could be anybody, man. I'm just thinking they would boo the shit out of him.
I think in the scenario that I just made up would make millions more dollars.
It would. I'm just saying they would boo him, though.
Well, yeah.
He'd have to be the heel.
And that's the kind of thing if they boo him, they boo him. If they cheer him, they cheer him. And
we'll never know, obviously.
And if whatever happens, you either have a face-face rematch at WrestleMania 31, or you have one of the biggest heels ever because he's on Raw getting the heat he deserves against one of the greatest faces ever in The Undertaker, and it's the main event of WrestleMania 31. And I'm honestly mad they didn't do what I just said, because that would be awesome, and I would love to see that.
And that's why Jonathan Nichols should be working for the WWE.
Oh my God.
Now they're going to be taking that idea.
I know.
They can't go back now and have The Rock in the streak. We'll get to The Rock in a little bit. Actually, we'll go into The Rock right now, because we're actually on the topic. So, do you think The Rock will ever wrestle another match?
I think he has unfinished business with the WWE. I think that
wrestling wise, or
yeah, I think that he's not a lot more to prove, but I think that in his current with his current lifestyle, he's a star. He's a bona fide star. All right, it would only benefit. It would benefit all parties involved if The Rock got back in the ring.
True.
So I think that It's not a matter of if, but when and who he gets back in the ring with. And not the Rock could retire, be the first inductee in the class of 2015 Hall of Fame, and I would never hate the guy. I mean, like,
because he ended on such a good note. I mean, the whole feud of Cena was drawn out a little longer than it should have, and the whole reason why he came back in the first place was to, quote unquote, put over Cena, because passing the torch.
Because Cena wasn't over at WrestleMania 29.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Though?
Yeah,
You know what I mean.
Yeah.
But that's the whole reason why he came back, was to feud of Cena, quote unquote, pass the torch. So now that that's done, I've been wondering this for the last year or so. He has no reason to come back
The Rock.
in a wrestling role.
Not at all.
But now a lot has changed in the last year because a lot of new stars have arisen. So do you think? And it's not like the streak where if Undertaker were to put over, like if The Rock were to put over someone like Undertaker would, they wouldn't get the booed. They wouldn't get booed the shit out of. You know what I mean? Yeah, like booed out of the building because it's The Rock. There's nothing really at stake. And they gained a lot from beating the guy that beat John Cena, beat Hulk Hogan, and beat Stone Cold Steve Austin. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that being said, and I do think he's on his way back, because Rock himself, you've seen on ESPN, I've seen other interviews, that he's had talks with Vince. And he had talks going to WrestleMania 30. But it just didn't work out with the schedule. Really, nothing really came up that was money-making. And they were supposed to do him versus Lesnar. It fell through due to injury, and Lesnar is now doing other things. There's really no point in going back to that matchup. It would be entertaining, but that's another matchup the night after WrestleMania. Both are gone anyway. I don't really know what purpose it serves. Giving Rock his win back 12 years later after their initial matchup, I guess. I don't know. That being said, though, say he is to come back. It's still not confirmed, but I'm still thinking at this point, after hearing everything the last few weeks, he will be back come WrestleMania 31. Who's his opponent?
Come WrestleMania 31?
Yes.
Now, this will go against my alternate desire, which is to see John Cena versus Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 31. But the only way, like you said, Brock has no reason to come back. He's done everything. So,
and it's not like he said in the interview that he'd come back for a moneymaker, a marquee name.
All right.
But the thing is that Punk, Cena were the two marquee names in this generation. CM Punk, yeah. He's not in the same boat as John Cena, but you know what I mean? Like a top star.
He's in the same boat.
And he's gone, yeah. Well, I mean, Cena's like the face of the company. You know what I'm talking about?
CM Punk is in the same boat, trust me.
Okay, well, he did the feud with Cena, he did the feud with Punk. There's no one left to feud with. Unless you put in Randy Orton, but Randy Orton's lost a lot in the last few years.
Randy Orton's not the same guy he once was.
Exactly.
So in my imaginary world where The Rock beats The Undertaker at WrestleMania 30, in my imaginary world, Roman Reigns has a lot of difficulty achieving his dream of becoming WWE champion, leading up to WrestleMania, and he starts cutting some uncharacteristically heel promos, and then
so you're saying that he...
No, wait.
Oh.
He starts bashing his lineage a little bit, maybe saying that he maybe bringing like some of his family members or whatever, and he maybe shoots a heel promo on them or whatever.
Yeah.
And then one day on Raw, if you can smell, The Rock is cooking, he comes down the ring.
Yeah.
Comes down the ring like, oh, Roman, what happened, man? Like, they have obvious family ties, and they, maybe Roman Reigns could answer The Rock's return with a nice little spear, and then you got instant chemistry right there. Instant chemistry. Instant heat.
Rock said he would work with him. Rock said that he would work with him if he were to be the top heel.
Exactly.
Or a top star. Even if he was the number 2 babyface in the company behind Cena, I think it could still be a marquee matchup. It's not a matchup that would draw as much money as a Cena Rock, because those are 2 marquee names, and Roman Reigns isn't a guy that's a marquee name yet. But maybe come WrestleMania, it could make him into a marquee name, which I think is the pure purpose of that matchup. Yeah. Like you said, it has a lineage behind it. It's a matchup, maybe it's just me, and we weren't through the Attitude Era, so it's different, but... And a lot of people, continue to go on. Austin and Rock should have another match at WrestleMania. Like, I know I didn't live through the Attitude Era, but what purpose would that serve in 2014?
There's no point.
The match would suck. Austin, I mean, I know he can maybe do one more match.
Austin can't take a bump.
Yeah, but I'm saying, like, if he had to, The Rock, they had such a great trilogy of matches. Why ruin that legacy?
That would just, that would be terrible.
You know what I mean? So, no.
That would soil everything.
And this should be a far better matchup, obviously, because this other guy's still an active competitor. But a Rock Triple H matchup a feud we've already seen a million times. Would be a great matchup. They've always had great chemistry.
But the thing is,
but in 2014, what the hell? What point?
Rock Triple H in that. I know we've seen heel Triple H versus face Rock, and we've seen
probably we've seen it all.
Face Triple H. But the thing is, as everything does in life, wrestling evolves. So do characters. We've never seen Triple H as the COO of the company and this kind of badass, authority figure kind of thing. And we've never seen The Rock as the character he's now, where he's a comer and goer. And but I think you could definitely create heat between Triple H and The Rock now.
I'm not saying it'd be a terrible matchup. I'm just thinking, especially going into WrestleMania 30, it was one of those things is like Rock should come to save the WWE from Triple H, beats Triple H, but he's gone the next night. Like, you know what I mean?
It's all these part-timers, man.
But I mean, I know people go on to say, well, he beat Cena and left the next night. It's different because that created intrigue. People were like, I don't know about you, but I was like, holy shit.
Rock was back the next night.
He was. No, but you know what I mean? But for an extended run.
It's not like he said, I love you, I'll see y'all later. He said he wants to become the next WWE champion.
Exactly, and it built towards the next thing.
Yeah.
And no, but not even that, though. It was shocking because I didn't expect Cena to lose. Because we all thought Cena was going to do one match, beats Rock, and moves on. But it created a thing with Cena. Was like, so what's next for Cena? This guy just lost to The Rock. And he was like in that depression stage, albeit for a month before they made him fucking beat Brock Lesnar. I still hate that finish to this day. But that being said, though, Triple H is different. He vanquishes the Authority. Triple H is not an active guy either. So, at least with Daniel Bryan, it made sense at WrestleMania because he benefited from it. The next night, he was like the most over guy in the company. He already was by that point, but you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
So, I'd much rather see, personally, Rock versus Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 31.
That's something we agree on. For those of you who just heard us ramble on and heard us not make much sense, what we're trying to say is that if The Rock were to come back, we'd love to see him go against Roman Reigns because they are both of the Samoan variety. And that is what the last 10 to 15 minutes of us talking was about.
So, next topic, arguably the next biggest topic in the last number of months, and since the start of 2014, CM Punk. Now, we are going to be biased here. I'm going to throw that out here right now, because we're both huge CM Punk fans, always have been, and I'm not going to say that he was in the right. I'm not even going to say he was in the wrong, but I think my thoughts on this are pretty well established and well documented.
I've made my judgments on this.
We've both talked about. I mean, I've talked about it here on the show a number of times, and I want to get your thoughts. And you've talked about it briefly with me in private, just never on the show. I don't think we talked about it on the show when you were on many months ago. So, your thoughts first of all on how it all occurred. Was he in the right? Was he in the wrong? Why do you think it happened? And the ever popular question: do you think he's coming back?
So, 100% CM Punk is in the right. He's in the right. I mean, he was overworked. He was under-rewarded. As a character, as a worker, he was working every day. He was doing a full-time schedule, and he didn't want to work Triple H at Mania 30. He wanted the spotlight, and I don't blame him because. And you said this in the beginning of the year. You're like, well, there's no way CM Punk should be main eventing WrestleMania 30 because you said that. I remember you saying this. You said Daniel Bryan is the most over guy in the company.
Okay,
and
yeah.
CM Punk's just not over as much as Daniel Bryan is. All right.
And you put you put the most over guy
in the main event, but which doesn't explain why Batista was there. But anyway, so I think that's
agreed.
I think that CM Punk was 100% in the right for leaving. I don't know about in the manner in which he left, but for going home, taking his ball and going home.
But no, go back to that for a second. Go back to that. For going home, yes, overworked. To this day, he's never said two words about. He could have left because Triple H called him a pussy, and that's why he left. You never know. I'm not saying that's likely, but I'm saying you don't know what the reason is, so it's purely speculation. You're speculating, I'm speculating. We don't know for sure. That being said, I want to rewind for a second to something you just said. But in the manner he left, the reason why he left, I understand that, yes, he was in the right, but the manner.
And this is why we agree, because guys like Stone Cold Steve Austin got so much heat in 2000, or no, in 2001, all right, when he had
by fans or management or both?
In 2001, when Stone Cold left, it was because he had
02, yeah.
It was 02 with Lesnar.
Yeah.
I apologize.
Yep.
He had a disagreement with Mr. McMahon about creative. He didn't think that Mr. McMahon was doing business correctly.
With Brock, yeah.
And he just left. And after that happened, I lost serious respect for Stone Cold Steve Austin, because that's not the way you leave.
Yes.
That's not you don't leave like that. You try and make amends there.
Even though he was in the right, yes.
He was in the right, but you don't leave.
Exactly,
So CM Punk did what he thought was best for CM Punk, but that's not, I mean,
it's CM Punk being CM Punk, and you got to respect the fact that he's ballsy and that he's his own advocate, and that no one else, who the hell would else do that? You know what I mean?
Stone Cold Steve Austin does that.
Exactly. You know what I mean?
Stone
CM Punk
Cold
and Austin.
It's hard to follow Stone Cold Steve Austin.
And Austin and Punk have a lot in common in that sense. But go on.
It's hard to follow Stone Cold Steve Austin and do what he did better, and I think CM Punk did that. But I don't blame the guy. I don't blame him for what he did. And honestly,
for what he did, but what about the manner?
And I as we just established, I think the manner that he did was wrong. And now segueing into our related topic, in that, all right, you said it was purely speculation for why it is that he left. Let's say he's mad because part-timers like Batista and Brock Lesnar are getting the spotlight at WrestleMania 30.
I don't think it's because of the people specifically. I think him and Batista are friends. But I think the idea of the main event to WrestleMania.
So let's say it's that. Let's say it's like that.
Yes.
Why on earth, CM Punk's mad about his position in the company, why on earth would he not leave the company, make talks with McMahon around Rumble time about making a return? Because once you hear a cult of personality go off in an arena, that's the most over thing. It doesn't even have to be him. That's the most over thing right there. So once you hear his music go off, automatically whatever main event you have going into WrestleMania, you just trash it right there, because he's gonna be the most over guy since freaking sliced bread. All right, and he'll be in the main event of WrestleMania 31 if that were to happen. So if he's mad, he's working all this time, not getting what he wants. Why would he not leave, build anticipation for himself to come back? All right, and then deliver on one of the greatest returns ever.
Okay.
Why would from a logical standpoint, that makes the most sense. All right, Graham, I'm mad that I'm not being used correctly, and I'm mad that guys who aren't here every day like I am are being used better. So I should do what they're doing. I should not be here every day.
That's okay. Wait a second. Okay. Can I just? I was going to argue with this, but I think you're just making the point I was about to make.
All right, I was very elaborate on that point.
No, okay. Let me clarify here, because I think you're making the point that I was about to make, and I didn't know if you're okay. So here's the thing: from a fan point, Punk making his return, Mania main event, amazing, dude. I want to see that. Yeah. Look, logically, speaking here, let's think about this for a second. Punk left because these guys are coming in without working for the entire year and take the Mania main event. Okay? So, wouldn't it be hypocritical of him to be gone for an entire year, doing nothing, take the Mania main event, just like Batista did? You know what I mean?
Hypocritical, yes. Logical, yes. Logical, yes. I mean, if you want to be in the main event of WrestleMania, and why wouldn't you do what it takes to get to the main event of WrestleMania?
That doesn't require leaving. Then you work
apparently,
the entire
apparently
year.
He does. If he's getting booked in a tag team with Daniel Bryan and Survivor Series, and then he's working with the Shield in December, Daniel Bryan's getting ready to elevate his career. What sense does that make? That's not right.
But doesn't that set a bad example for guys like a Daniel Bryan saying, "I've worked here all year"?
So do not blame that on CM Punk, but blame that on whoever's in charge and booking these guys who aren't here all year.
I don't think CM Punk, he would do that, to be honest with you. I don't think he's going to be one of those guys that is going to be what he hates, becomes what he hates. I think Kurt Angle was talking about this recently, too, in that if Punk hates part-timers so much, and I mean, like we said, it's purely speculation and rumors, if he hates part-timers so much, then he's going to be just done. He's not going to ever be a part-timer. He's going to wrestle full-time and retire. I think if he comes back for another run, to come back and do whatever, and I think he will, I don't think he's going to be a part-timer. And then he deserves to be main event WrestleMania with John Cena. Or Daniel Bryan.
All right. I feel like you and I are using part-timer in the wrong context. When I say part-timer, I mean in the sense that if he wants his WrestleMania main event spot,
he's got to come back.
He should come back at the opportune time. That doesn't mean come back at SummerSlam. It means come back at Rumble, grab your spot, and then continue to work for the rest of the year.
Yeah,
but
But
if you want your Mania spot, you got to come back with the most heat.
Well, it's got to be well booked.
Well, yeah, you got to come back at the
the right time.
At the opportune time.
Yeah.
So, I'm not saying he does that, wins at WrestleMania 31, leaves. I'm saying he does that, wins at WrestleMania 31,
stays, yeah. For how long, nobody knows.
I'm just saying he needs to come back when it's right for him.
Yeah. So that being said, I think you pretty much just established. Answer the next question. Do you think he will be back?
He dubs himself officially a retired wrestler.
Yes, that is true. That is accurate.
So it's hard to work with that. I mean, I feel like he knows how he knows how missed he is. So
he knows, yeah. Did you see his tweet the other day?
Yeah, he's thanking all of us.
Yep.
But
that was cool.
He knows how missed he is, so he knows how rewarding it would be for us as fans for him to come back.
He's a business guy. He knows to make big money.
So, I don't even think it's the money, honestly.
No. But he's a good businessman in the sense that
he is a good business guy.
He knows, if I'm going to make a return, it's going to be around here. Yeah. He knows that the longer he's gone, the more he's missed, the bigger pop it's going to be. Exactly.
All people need to hear is Cult of Personality. They can hear that song and Jimmy Wang Yang can come out, but
like in Chicago a couple months ago, I've been rewatching it time and time again because it's great. When Paul Heyman came out,
that was awesome.
That was great. So that being said, though, you think you'll be back?
I would.
Yes or no?
I quasi confidently say yes.
I say 100% yes. Actually, nothing's ever 100%. I say 99% he will be back. But I will say this, a little asterisk against that. He will be back with WWE, but I'm not confirming that it'll be in an active role. He will be back. If he doesn't wrestle again, he'll be in the Hall of Fame. You know what I mean? He's like the Ultimate Warrior in that sense. Or Bret Hart.
All right.
Or Bruno Sammartino. He'll be back. Who's left the company and doesn't come to good terms with them ever again?
Sheesh.
Everyone's come back.
Yeah.
See? You know what I mean?
Because WWE is
they've done a great job of that in recent years.
It's like lead. It stays around forever.
Exactly. Bret Hart, I think time heals all wounds. Punk will be back. I'm not saying it's next month. I'm not saying it's next year.
I'm not saying it's in 10 years.
I'm saying he will be back. Okay? So that's my thoughts on CM Punk. I'm looking forward to it. I haven't watched the doc again yet. I really want to watch it again. But
great flick. Great flick.
Absolutely. So I'm looking forward to when he will be back. Should be good. Other big stories going on right now. We talked about this earlier today with Mr. John Soto.
John Soto.
The Shield.
The Shield.
After a hot 18-month run, split up on my birthday, no less. I was like, what the fuck is this? I was almost in tears. It was like, this is the worst conclusion to a birthday ever. Worst birthday ever right now. The Shield, after beating Evolution no less than 24 hours earlier, is over. I'm thinking, wow, terrible business. They're at the top of their peak. They're done. But then it really started to settle in the sense that, and it could go either way. There's two. You can have two minds of this, in that it's not like the Nexus. They waited until they squeezed everything out of it, and then they killed it. Mm-hmm. Then they officially ended it. They were at the top of their peak, so stop while you're ahead. That famous line, the famous motto. That's exactly what the Shield did. And I think some people will argue they did do everything they wanted to do. They beat Evolution. They beat the Wyatt family. They beat everybody, you know?
Yeah.
So, and they've had all the matches, and it was time for them to branch off on their own. And I said this to you earlier today. I can't think of any other stable, and it's only been a month. It's premature. I know that. But I can't think of any other stable where all three of them came out looking even better than they were before.
In the stable, exactly. Now,
Your thoughts on the Shield split and everything, the aftermath, okay?
I'm a huge Ambrose mark, and to be honest, as much as I enjoyed the Shield, I wasn't high on the Shield. I enjoyed their presence. I enjoyed the refreshing taste of having their music hit and having them come down the stairs in the crowd. But I wasn't crazy on that. And now that they've split, I'd say my favorite star that came out of it would be Dean Ambrose.
I agree.
I'm such an Ambrose mark. It's not funny, but what was it? Regardless,
Some backpack.
Regardless,
you just had an accident.
They all look great right now. They're all have, the thing is, what would have easily killed the Shield is if you have Rollins turn on Ambrose and Reigns, and you have Ambrose and Reigns tagging together there's still
and there's no feud with Rollins. Is that what you're saying? Or even if
exactly.
they did?
No, but the analogy I'm trying to make is Rollins turning on them is like breaking a glass cup or a glass vase, and then having Ambrose and Reigns tag together would be like trying to glue the pieces back together, and it just wouldn't work out. So I'm glad that they're all going off in different directions, and they all have legitimate feuds they're all in right now. That makes
at a top tier level, man.
That makes them look better than if Ambrose and Reigns are like, all right, well, Rollins is gone, let's tag.
Yeah.
It makes them look like, all right, well.
And they didn't try to replace him, you know what I mean? Look at the new Nexus, you bring in Mason Ryan. There was a rumor at one point that they'd replace Roman Reigns after he broke away babyface. They'd replace him with Mason Ryan, who's since been released. But that being said, though, I'm glad that they didn't ruin the legacy of the Shield by bringing in someone else. They're like, I know you don't watch NXT, but Sami Zayn, El Generico, Corey Graves, whatever, Evan Bourne, what the fuck? Are you kidding me? I don't want to see someone replace the Shield. If the Shield's not going to be what it once was, end it. Have that 5-year reunion down the line. I told you this today, but I love how Ambrose, and you said this too, Ambrose has his own identity, great mic skills, great look, fits him to perfection. Seth Rollins, same thing.
Great mic skills, great look.
Roman Reigns, same thing, but he's got to take away the Shield stuff. I know they're trying to just give it to him, and I know an analogy, a comparison is that Kevin Nash, after they stopped the NWO, he still uses the NWO music to this day. I understand that. But what if Orton kept on using the Evolution theme after Evolution ended? What if Triple H kept on using the DX theme? You wouldn't have marked out for that much. Like when the Evolution theme hit a couple of months ago, I was like, holy shit, man. Yeah. And the Evolution is a mystery. It was great. I loved it. So that being said,
it's really nitpicking when you think about it. But it would
it would
be nice.
Exactly.
If Reigns got his own music, got his own.
Hotel, India Echo.
Well, they don't even do that anymore.
But they don't.
I'm pretty sure it's just.
Yeah, it's a remix version of that. Yes, but I'm saying it would be cooler if we heard that music on its own 5 years later.
And them all coming down and
with their SWAT attire
and beating up a heel John Cena.
Yeah.
Tagging with the heel Linda McMahon.
Yeah, I love it. The streaking JR. I think all three of these guys are the next. All of them could be world champs. Seth Rollins is fucking guaranteed to be world champion.
And then there's my favorite, Dolph Ziggler, who's being misused.
Where did that go from?
Oh my God. No, because everyone's talking about the next star, the next megastar. Well, Ziggler should be
is the next star.
No.
He's not the next star. He is the star.
Not even. He's being terribly treated.
No, obviously, but I'm saying he should be the star right now.
Have you ever wondered why the first description in his Twitter bio is stand-up comedian?
Yeah.
He goes, stand-up comedian, and I wrestle to pay the bills.
Yeah, I know.
That's because Vince McMahon is terrible.
Yeah, I hear you. Dolph Ziggler should be pushed.
He should be the champion.
He should be the guy right now. He's got the mic skills. He's over. Amazing wrestler. Easily, I think, one of the best athletes. With Punk on, him and Bryan, I think, are the best wrestlers in WWE right now.
By far.
I'm trying to think of anyone else. Seth Rollins is up there.
Tyson Kidd.
Cesaro.
Tyson Kidd could work.
Tyson Kidd could work, but I don't think he's no, okay, I'm thinking, if you're talking purely wrestling, then Tyson Kidd's up there.
Oh, definitely.
Cesaro, Rollins, Bryan, Kidd.
All the ROH guys.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. So, that's Shield for you. I'm looking forward to that. They've been all
Their immediate future is bright.
Very, very, very bright. I'm thinking Ambrose and Rollins. It's the best feud right now in WWE going right now.
I love it.
They were the most over guys, in my opinion. I don't know about you, from where you were sitting. they were the most over guys at the Raw that we went to.
Do
you agree, though? Do you agree?
Yes.
No, we're branching off. It's John's favorite time of the night.
Oh, my God.
Monday Night Raw.
June 30th, 2014.
Hartford, Connecticut.
Which is historically, I found out, that week, the last week of June, is historically a crazy Raw. Did you know that it's the same Raw in 2008 CM Punk cashed in?
Yes, listen to this. I was thinking about this as well. 2008, CM Punk cashes in. The same exact day, by the way, too.
June 30th.
When Rollins cashed in, I was like, oh my God, 6 years later, exactly. Jackson's like, whatever. But I'm like, this is history.
Yeah.
So, next year, the first ever guest host thing started.
On June 30th?
Yeah, no, the June 29th or whatever. It's the final Raw of June, yeah. And Evan Bourne, Mark Henry, and Swagger came over to Raw. Remember that?
Oh my God, I remember that.
That night.
Swagger, like, high-five Randy Orton.
Yeah, good show. 2010, nothing really happened on that. I don't think
And the
anything
Nexus
happened.
just happened.
Yeah, so nothing really happened.
June 30th, 2010, the Nexus would have just been a thing.
Yeah. Or then nothing. That last week of June, I don't think anything really happened that night. Well, they attacked Mr. McMahon, I think.
Well, there you go.
Maybe. So 2011, Pipe Bomb. That says it all right there.
June 30th.
Pipe Bomb. 2012.
June 30th.
That was that shitty string of like terrible shows. You remember?
Oh my God, 2012.
It was like that Raw where like Hornswoggle was like revealed as the Raw GM. Not that Raw, but it was like that during that time though.
Oh yeah, from there.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And then 2013.
June 30th. We really should have done a research coming into this topic.
Yeah, no, but I'm thinking something did happen though.
June 30th.
Because Christian just came back, Lesnar came back, Henry came back.
It would have been after MITB.
No, that was like right after Payback or something.
All right. Oh yeah, because they had Payback in the middle of June.
Yeah.
Who's champ?
John Cena.
Ugh, gross.
Yeah.
Sounds a lot like right now.
But I also realized the night after Money in the Bank, someone's returned every time. 2010, I was at your house for this. Bret Hart came back, remember?
Oh, yeah.
Teaming against Nexus. 2011, night after Money in the Bank, Triple H came in as the new COO.
Okay.
2012, Rey Mysterio made a return. Remember that?
All right.
And Rikishi, too. He danced with the Usos.
All right.
2013, who came back the night after Money in the Bank 2013? Oh, man. What am I thinking? Oh, Brock Lesnar. Oh, and RVD wrestled his first match back, too.
All right.
So, and then, who came back this year, John?
Oh, my God.
So let's get into the nitty-gritty here. John, how'd you get tickets to Raw?
Yeah, all right, so I'll elaborate on that. I actually just graduated high school recently, and my mom graced me with some tickets to the Monday Night Raw at the Hartford XL Center, and I went in thinking that it was going to be like the time of my life. The last Raw I went to was December 28th, 2009, which was not exactly a great time.
Memorable in the sense we got a U.S. title match, WWE title match.
Whatever. But, so I was like, oh, the company's going stronger now, should be great.
Night after Money in the Bank.
And yeah, exactly. And I'm like, look at my ticket. Oh, I'm row CC. That's cool. Apparently, row CC is 29 rows up from the section. I'm already like way above the ground, so I'm so high up you can see your nose bleeding. That's how high you're up. I guess that's why they call them the nose.
Yeah.
Well, I'm so high up. I'm thinking, wow, it's gonna suck. And I ended up making it. It ended up being one of the greatest times I've ever had in my entire life. If you want to just start going off. Rattling off. The opening segment was.
Well, we don't have enough time. We only have 10 minutes left, and we're getting some other stuff. But
highlights of the night.
Highlights of the night. By one.
That guy of Jericho returned, I think.
Whoa, you're getting into the main course too quick. By far, one of my favorite segments of the night was
We the People.
Oh my God,
dude, that Mark and that music. I was like,
well, I was like, wait, I got on my seat. I was like, Jackson. I think Swagger's a babyface. Jackson's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, Jackson, it's been 6 years since he debuted. He's a babyface now.
That was one of the most thunderous ovations. It was crazy.
Not only were they chanting USA, they were chanting "Let's Go Swagger."
I was one of the "Let's Go Swagger,"
and they were on. It got on TV too.
And since then,
we're the people.
They've been kind of going with it. I know they had a Raw in Canada the past.
That they weren't on that TV because Swagger got the DUI. He couldn't be in Canada. I understand that. But last week, the debate got a great reaction. That was a sexy super kick when Rusev went for the super kick. He caught him in the ankle lock. I was like, yeah. But, swagger, baby.
So that was a really great moment of the night.
And then I'm thinking, it's not going to get any better than this. This is as good as it's going to get. And then, John Cena, Randy Orton tonight. Like, yeah, it's not going to get any good.
And the WWE, the greatest swerve ever was later that night. It was at the 2-hour mark of the show. when Justin Roberts comes out and announces a multi-medium cross-platform superstar.
Yep.
And I'm getting ready to freak out.
This is after the McMahon thing.
Which was also hilarious. I'm getting ready to freak out. I had no idea what to expect, and I'm not a Miz mark like Graham, but when we found out it was a Miz, you should have seen my face. It was like, it went from like Christmas morning to like leaving a funeral. I was so disappointed. I was like, wow. Like, and that only like benefited me for when I heard
that made it that much better, dude.
I've been telling Graham ever since the night it happened. I did not think.
Nobody knew.
I did not think, or I did not tell myself to stand up and cheer. When I heard the pyro, my body, without command, jumped from my chair. And I started screaming. It was the biggest mark-out moment of my life.
Me too.
Oh my god.
I lost my voice, man. I lost my voice for a couple days.
The Wyatt family came out, and we were a hot crowd. I got Madison.
This is awesome. I loved it.
And they kept that audio, and
they did.
And packages later. Like, I don't know if they're trying to get how far they're trying to get the Wyatt family over, because I know they're trying to make them look heel. But they got us chanting, "This is awesome." Like, we're a great crowd.
When they came out the first time too, I love like the whole the cell phone thing. That was a great visual.
Gosh,
that was cool.
It's always a great visual.
That was very cool.
The best, though.
That was really awesome. And I'm thinking like we're being biased, like we're there, and I'm like, oh, greatest Raw ever, you know. But I go home, look on Twitter, people are like, greatest Raw of the year, best one since after Mania, and I'm like, absolutely, you know.
And then the night you had the
and I'm thinking, okay, not getting any better than this now. We're done, dude. We're done.
The thing is, my father, how you doing, Phil? My father was. He's the kind of dad that's like, yeah, I'm double parked here in Hartford.
Let's get going.
I want to go home. It's 11 o'clock. And I'm with him on the whole 3-hour thing. I was tired, too. But he's like, John, let's get out of here. It's time to go. And I'm like, all right, we'll start walking, but we're not leaving until, you know, the after camera stuff happens. Mm-hmm. And the match is going on. The main event was going on as we were leaving. And all of a sudden, as it ended, Kane hit scene with the tombstone.
Yeah.
And I didn't even get to see Triple H motion.
Yeah, I'm like, this is a weird ending to the show.
And then when I
heard dark match
I
or
heard
something?
Seth Rollins' music hit, I was like,
oh shit!
I wasn't in a seat, but if I was, I would have stood for me.
But the funny thing is that Dean Ambrose said earlier on in the night, like, I'm not going to let you cash in. I'm going to interrupt everyone. But that never registered in my mind.
Remembered that
exactly
because we had the swagger moment.
Exactly.
We had the returning Chris Jericho, and then the Wyatt family.
And AJ, too.
AJ Lee come back.
I was marking out for that dude.
No one remembered. And when Dean Ambrose and his great mic skills, when those are when those are forgotten, you know you went to a great Raw.
Yeah. To a CT Raw, too. Oh, we get shit on for like, oh, you got to get crappy crowds. You kidding me? I heard a pay-per-view's coming to us next year.
I hope.
That'd be amazing.
Well, you said the same thing about Elimination Chamber 2012.
It was in the schedule, dude. It was in the schedule. I promise.
That was a good show. I mean,
I'm glad it didn't go.
Both champions retain in an Elimination Chamber,
and they both retained too.
CM Punk and Daniel Bryan.
And then the year prior, Edge retained. The year after, who retained?
2000.
There was no title match the next year. Randy Orton retained this past year, though. The last 4 chamber matches have ended with champions retaining, even though they're against all odds.
That's not even a threat anymore.
Yeah, I know. Now it's like unpredictable.
Like, oh, he's gonna retain.
Yeah. But even still, best Raw.
Awesome.
Best Raw, dude.
I can't believe I was there.
I'll show you the audio after we're done recording this.
I still can't believe I was there.
Yeah, you could say you were there for history.
I witnessed Chris Jericho's music hit.
Yeah.
And I went home. I record Raw every week, and I watched this segment at least 30 times. I could quote The Miz. I'm not leaving until all of you are literally begging for me not to go. And
then he does the motion.
And he points to the aisle, and I'm thinking like, oh my God, is someone gonna come out while he's pointing? And then he comes back, he motions back to the camera,
starts saying something.
He goes, nope, and then he goes, and then. And only that. Boom, 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 boom. Break the walls down.
Yeah, I remember the pyro was. I'm like, what was.
And went, oh,
Yeah, I was telling this before.
It's literally, I have goosebumps right now.
Yeah, it was amazing.
It's an experience you have to be there.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
It's not even like we got a tip and like we knew like from the internet or something. No. And then it was just a cool moment to be there for. I had no idea. No one knew Jericho. I didn't even know he was in talks to be coming back, man.
Clueless.
Absolutely amazing. So, I don't think I want to go to another Raw ever again.
I know.
Just because it's going to be like, no, that was bad compared to the last one.
June 30th.
Yeah.
And now that,
so hopefully WWE starts to take notice of our amazing crowds.
You know what? We also just made it really hard for WWE because now that everyone listening to this is aware that June 30th Raws are usually awesome.
Yeah.
WWE's got to pick it up on June 30th for the rest of them.
Every single year. And CM, I'm sorry, after the main event, after Cena lost that match or the main event or whatever it was, the match ended.
I don't remember the main event, to be honest.
It was like, I was Cena and Reigns versus Orton and Kane. It was funny because Jackson was like, oh, the families are getting ready to leave. They got to go to bed the next day. Got to get up the next morning, all the little kiddies. And I'm like, you're probably not going to want to leave. Something's going to happen. Because I'm thinking, I should just leave right now. Because after AJ returned, I'm like, the show's going to end on a shitty note. And I'm going to be left pissed because all this other stuff happened. And the show's going to end with a DQ finish. And it did for the show that we went to. Every show I've ever been to for WWE's always ended in DQ. Every single one.
Can I tangent? Do we have time for a 2-second tangent?
Go right ahead.
Graham and I went to the final Raw of 2009. No. Final Raw of the decade. All right? And what was so shitty about that show was everything. Right? I was higher up this time than I was in 2009 as far as...
Which I'm surprised about because we were up a long way.
But we were up there. I'm talking...
Final Raw of 09, by the way. Did you say that before?
Yeah, Final Raw of 09.
Oh, okay.
We were up there. Yeah. And this is the Raw, if you don't remember, for those of you with bad memory, this is the Raw that they were hyping for a month. Since, like, the first day of November, they were saying, like, December 28th.
Yeah, I'm sure.
John Cena, Sheamus. No, it was as soon as as soon as Sheamus won the title at TLC 09.
They had a U.S. title match tonight, too.
I know, but as soon as Sheamus won that title, they were like, December 28th.
Yeah.
Like, they could not hype this match anymore. All right, so the match starts, and it's 11 o'clock when the match starts.
Yeah, like...
Come on. And the match starts, and it's like 5 minutes in. Now, it's kind of sad that Sheamus John Cena is the biggest match we've ever seen. But
yeah, that's a good point.
But this match starts, and it's like 5 minutes of like, what is
No, I'm sorry. This is after Timbaland comes out, too.
Yeah, drunk Timbaland. he was the guest host. But this match starts, and it's like 5 minutes. We're like, what is going on?
Yeah.
And you see, go back on YouTube, go back
Jackson
on the WWE
laughing.
Network.
Yeah.
December 28th, 2009. Sheamus legitimately tugs Mike Chioda's shirt.
Tugs is
strong. He like places his fingers on Mike Chioda.
I put brush as the right word.
He brushes Mike Chioda. And Mike Chioda was not quick. He couldn't quickly enough call for the bell. It was amazing. And I was like, how is that a DQ, Mike? You were in the freaking way. They DQ'd Sheamus for brushing Mike Chioda. I was so angry. And they hyped that match like it was the second coming of Jesus. And I couldn't be more mad. I walked home. I was like, I'm never doing this again.
Yeah, never going to another Raw again. I'm not getting tickets to another Raw in 4 years. It's going to be terrible. Or 5 years later. Wow, that's amazing. What a difference. So, amazing show overall.
Great show.
WrestleMania is still on my list. I think on my 3 things I want to do. The 3 things I think are on my bucket list. Go to WrestleMania. Go to a TNA show, which I was telling you about earlier today. It might be a possibility because you're coming back to Manhattan Center in early, here in New York, actually, in early August. And I might bring you along if I can get tickets. It's a long shot, but it's up there. And work for WWE. That's more of a goal that is a bucket list thing, but that's yours as well.
I'm in the same boat with you, brother.
Last 3 things I want to talk about. We're at the end of the stick here. Just like quick.
Quick.
Yeah. Just give your brief thoughts on it. 3 things here. Quick thoughts off the top of your head. Batista, your thoughts.
He was a terrible. He had a terrible run this time. I didn't enjoy his work at all since he came back in January. I thought that he was booked terribly. I really wish that they would go back to the drawing board when he comes back for the next time around.
Sting.
Can't wait to see him. It's been too long.
Well, video game first, and then...
Video game. I probably won't pre-order the game, so it doesn't really matter to me. And I'm excited for him to be back.
And then last thing, TNA.
Can I correct that? To be back. I'm excited him to be here.
Yeah, you won't be back. I said the same thing at TNA.
Never been TNA. Great creative direction. It's nice that they're ascending, even though how hard is it to ascend from a pile of crap? It's really not that hard.
Better than anything they've done in the last
TNA has
10 years.
literally been the worst wrestling promotion I've ever ever seen in my life, and that's putting it so lightly. And not
the most recent reboot. What do you think?
It wasn't the greatest. They could have done a lot of things differently, but it was pretty damn good for TNA standards. And I heard we talked to John Soto. How you doing, John Soto?
John Soto.
And he
shout out John Soto.
He gave us some spoilers at the Hall of Fame today, and TNA's in for some big stuff.
Absolutely. So that's gonna do it for our 2-part interview with John Nichols.
Nichols.
What?
John Nichols.
John Nichols, baby. Talking everything from WWE Network, Sting, Shield, Taker, everything. TNA, Brock Lesnar ending the streak, CM Punk,
we gotta
everything.
have a part 3.
Absolutely. One of these days, I'll hopefully see you again before the end of the summer. I don't know when this is going up, at some point within the next few weeks, but it's going up. This part 1 is already up, as well as probably the John Soto interview today, our roundtable of John Soto.
Follow him on Twitter at PWHF518.
There you go. Good dude. Right? Good dude. You got it right. I put 158 when I typed it on Twitter. I'm like, did he delete his Twitter? Because I can't find it.
518. PWHF518. Great guy.
Good dude. Awesome place.
Oh, my God. Amsterdam, New York, if you're ever in the
I don't care if you're in the other... I don't even care if you're in the area or not. I don't care if you're in California. Make the trip. Stop being lazy. Get over here. It's the only Hall of Fame you'll ever see, buddy.
Let me just tell you, it's not gonna blow you away, but it's gonna be nice to get.
If you're an appreciative wrestling fan, if you've been watching for the last 2 weeks, and I'm not saying I determine how big of a fan you are, depending on how long. I mean, we've only been watching 6, 7, 8 years.
Yeah.
And we're bigger fans than people who've been watching for 10 years that, sometimes watch Raw and they're like, oh, the biggest fans. Well, you don't care about the product, you know what I mean? But if you've been watching for the last 2 weeks, maybe you love wrestling than you and I combined. You never know. Exactly. I don't know. I'm not judging. I don't judge. I'm not judging like that.
Exactly.
But if you're only there to see a John Cena exhibit, you'll be disappointed.
You will be.
If you appreciate wrestling, you'll love it. Wrestling, not just WWE.
Wrestling. There's a lot of raw information there, and you have to go and you have to be a sponge. You have to soak it all in.
Absolutely. So I apologize that we weren't really able to get into in depth on things like Sting, Batista, but you were able to give your thoughts.
I gave my thoughts, and you can get all my thoughts on Twitter.
On Twitter at Heel by Design. It all goes back to the Twitter.
Yep.
All goes back to the Twitter handle.
The Twitter machine.
Revamped, resurrected, repackaged, rebooted. It's at Heel by Design. Check him out on Twitter. John, I'll talk to you guys down the road. I'm Graham Jason Matthews, signing off for John Nichols.
It's me. It's HBD. Have a great night.
And that's going to do it for my 2-part interview with my very good friend John Nichols. Once again, thanks to John for sitting down for me for 2 hours talking about everything from the WWE Network to Punk to the Undertaker streak to the Shield, everything. Great talking to him. Here's hoping we can sit down once again before the end of the summer, crank out another 2-hour interview or 2-hour plus interview. Look forward to that. You can follow him on Twitter at Heel by Design. You can follow me on Twitter at WrestleRant. You can check out episodes of this show every Tuesday at WrestleRant Radio at nextEraWrestling.weebly.com. New episodes are up every single Tuesday. You can find me on Facebook at Graham GSM Matthews. YouTube, same thing. Bleacher Report, same thing. Also contributing work to What Culture, WWE section of the website. You can check it out every once in a while. I had 2 articles up there in the last week. Go check them out. But that's going to do it for WrestleRant Radio this week. I'll be back next week with an exclusive interview with a very good friend of mine, Slick Wagner Brown. We had him on the show earlier this year, the former New England Championship Wrestling champion, was stripped of the championship a number of months ago after coming down with an injury. So it was great to reconnect with him a few weeks ago. The interview will air on next week's show. We talk about his recovery process and his thoughts on a number of things regarding NECW, The Ultimate Warrior, his idol, NECW, WWE, a lot of things. So it's an exclusive interview that you do not want to miss, plus a Raw review and my SummerSlam predictions for the biggest blockbuster of the summer. It is SummerSlam, my full predictions, picks, and preview for the show next week. So once again, guys, thanks for listening live. I'll catch you next week. Graham Jason Matthews, and we'll see you then.